Hey guys, before we start, I just want to say, um, if I do get any information wrong, I apologize in this video. I just speak. I'm not an expert on like this game fully on meta and stuff like that. I speak just from my experience and from what I know and what I've seen. So again, if I do make any mistakes, I am very happy if someone would love to say in the comments, hey, you made this mistake. Um, and again, I'm sorry if I do make any mistake. And yeah. Hello everyone. Welcome back. I just wanted to talk really about the Herta situation, kind of. Again, I'm a Herta main, one of the Herta mains on my main at least. And honestly, I'm very disappointed to see that an erudition character. Again, I think like every Herta main at this point, when seeing an erudition character released, they're instantly like, "Oh, is she gonna be good for Herta? Is she gonna be good for Herta?" Especially with recently how she's fallen off, because of you know how like her kit is right now, especially. Um, I'll get back to that later, but I'm gonna give my opinion on everything, of course, what I think should be done or whatever, but that doesn't matter. But yeah, the two most important characters released for Erudition, of course, that is if you're a Herta player, Rin and Himiko. And yeah, of course, Himiko was a DPS. I think everyone, I don't think anyone was surprised. She did seem to be one of the main pushes besides Silver Wolf and Evision Ishia. I don't think it was a surprise to anyone that she was going to be DPS. At least to me, right? I always expected her to be DPS. And yeah, so again, doesn't really fit well with Herda, of course. Again, we haven't, of course, I haven't. We not a lot of people have been like private testing teams yet, at least from what I've seen. At least the time of recording this video. And I will get back to that, of course. But anyway, back to the thing. With Rin, at least, right? Okay, everyone thought, okay, everyone did not have hypes for high hopes, at least personally, not for Miko, but Rin, of course. She came out, and I think a lot of people are surprised. At least her domains are very surprised, because she's basically just a hunt support. Like, straight up just a hunt support. Of course, I get that they are fake characters supposed to work good together. Maybe at this point we're gonna get like at the end a entire Fate team, because it is supposed to be apparently an annual event. That doesn't matter. Okay, that's the leaks. But back to the point. She literally was basically a hunt character, like literally hunt support. Everything she does is a support for either archer or just a hunt character, which means like you basically could do whatever with her, and she literally would like work well in a hunt team. As long as you have like good teams and shit, you could literally work it good in that. But that's not what I'm here to talk about, right? That's not what the problem is to me. That's not the problem, right? Doesn't matter. What I think personally, and again, just looking at her kid is just like really whoa. Everyone, I personally thought maybe she would finally be in an Anaxa place again. I personally think Anaxa does his job well. Not to slam on the guy, dude. Like he does his job pretty well. It's just he doesn't do it well enough for her, for example, right? Like, sure, he does regenerate energy, does do this, do that, but it isn't enough for it to be called the, like, again, right now, of course, he is the best support because there is no other support for her. But to say that he is top notch support, like, is of course, like, to say he is nowhere near, to say like he is the best ever to exist, best support to ever exist for Herta is just wrong because again, currently, yes, you are right to say that. And again, that's because there's almost no competitive. That's like saying, hey, this character is better without having a competitive to the same said character. It doesn't like you can't. It's really hard to say, to definitely, like, for me at least, I can't say I agree with people that say he is the best. Like it's again, it's just hard to compare a character that doesn't have competition. That's just basically putting up a fucking fight against no one, right? And and again, I am kind of disappointed personally, And again, but I'm just like a small YouTuber who gives a fuck about my opinion. But again, I am just really like, damn. I really hope she could have been the savior. But I really do think that they're waiting to. I mean, I'm hoping, of course, crossing my fingers that she is Herta is. They're just waiting to give her a comeback. And I think one thing that's disappointed a lot of people is, especially if you read Gilgamesh's Kid. I haven't. Again, I'm sorry, but I haven't really fully read it. But from what I've seen, it's so good. Like it's not so good, but it's good for Herta. Like it's really like it's good. Like the basically because of like the way system because he's supposed to be good with Saber as as the main DPS. I think he is the main DPS in the team. I'm not sure, but again, he's supposed to work well with her, of course, right? And that's led to him basically being a really focused a very the word what's the word energy alt focused, which is, again, if you ask any Herta main, that's like a very good buff. That's a very good fucking buff. I think everyone knows he's not an erudition character. He's literally a fucking destruction unit. So you can't use him in the same team as Herta, because Herta needs someone that is erudition in the team. And again, that's why it's such a big disappointment to me, at least, right? Because you're literally made a character that is that literally is a very good, like again, you don't have to make a direct support Herta, right? Of course, I'm not saying that Gilgamesh is literally a direct support Herta. Of course not. Their focus was to make him for Saber. And again, I've not watched any of the Fate series, so I don't know if Destruction fits him or not. I remember hearing an opinion of a guy. I could be remembering wrong, but he did say her erudition seemed to fit him more. Again, I'm not gonna say anything because, again, I've not watched Fate, the Fate series, as much as I would say it seems like a good series. I've not watched it. So again, I can't give the opinion of what should be done better or if it's wrong or not. I'm not gonna say anything. What I'm gonna say is what I know about this game, right? And again, it just went from basically it really just felt like they were thinking like, hey, because again, Jingyuan, okay, you know what, Jingyuan, I'm gonna use Jingyuan as an example here. How many like, I think a lot of people can agree that he's been indirectly buffed so many times with follow-up. Sunday was a great support for him, even though like he wasn't even supposed to be. Like, it literally, I remember, if I remember correctly, it brought him up to very good tier before falling off again, of course. But Sunday, even though Sunday was supposed to be a remember a support, which he basically never fulfilled the job, he literally basically just helped Jingyuan become one of the top-notch motherfuckers, and then never again. I think Robin was literally supposed to be... Yeah, Robin is literally was a face shell support. Guess what? That helped Jingyuan as well. Again, just Jingyuan kept getting buffs after buff, like indirectly buffs after buff. And that's what the problem is. They can do it. They have the thoughts of doing it. Did they do it accidentally? I don't know. Of course, I don't know if they accidentally buffed Jingyuan many times by accident. We will never know, of course, because we don't know what the fuck they plan. But from what we see is what we can talk about, and from what we have seen so far, they do indirectly sometimes do buff to characters. So again, that being said, they could have thought about Herta in this situation. Of course, not to say that they should have released 3 erudition characters. No. But I do really think there could have been like rethoughts about some situations. Say, hey, maybe we're not planning on Herta to become a better character yet, but we do think we should, give her like just a temporary support, right? Even though he's not really like made for, like, he's not supposed to be focused for her, but he does bring good things to the table, I would say. So again, they could have thought about it like that and be like, hey, you know what? We'll make him an indirect buffer, but not because we want him to be. It's just that we're gonna make him the way he is, and hopefully works out for him. And again, he would have been a good one. Again, from what I've also seen the opinion of others, they have said that he seems to be who could have been a very good buffer. So I don't know if he would have replaced, of course, an Axa in the situation. Depends also if he gets a bigger buff in the beta later on. But right now, he does seem to be a very good support. But again, he's not erudition, he's destruction. Hey, future me. I noticed something with this new artifact that's coming out, right? And I'm pretty sure some other artifacts are also more there is some artifacts that are hella dedicated to one character. For example, Finance is very dedicated to him. But let's just get back to this one, right? If the wearer and another teammate are both Trailblaze's companion characters, right? And then they get the buff. That's insane to me because of course, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a character having a dedicated set, but it just goes to because again, I'm just using this more as an example to say, hey, this could be what they needed to make for Herta, for example. Maybe when what's his name, when Skrullum or Stefan comes out, for example, it could be if wearer and teammate is a part of the Genius Society, then the buff increase. Or of course it could be something else. I just wanted to use that as an example. Also because I'm also kind of annoyed because again, a lot of her sets for Herta are very ass, honestly. I think a lot of people have said this before, at least to me personally. If you ask me, the Scholar set, Scholar Lost in Erudition is ass, dude. Like, sure, it's a good buff, don't get me wrong, but it is not good enough to make it like a very worthy one. Again, for example, My Day, I'm pretty sure now has, I don't know if My Day is now switched away from it and went to the Navigator one, but that's not what matters. What matters is this one is really ass, dude. And again, the Navigator one is literally basically so made for Hibiko. So like, dude, what the fuck is this bullshit, dog? Making so many actually dedicated artifacts for characters and actually making them good. I'm pretty sure the Navigator one is so good. And again, Herta's is the one Herta has is so ass. Sure, it is very dedicated, but still ass. Again, another problem is that all the supports. I know some people are not a big fan of this tier list, and I'm just gonna ignore it. I don't care about it. This is the one I only use because I feel like it's somewhat accurate more towards than others. All the other ones are ass. Doesn't matter. All of the other, and again, all the ones that are TFO right now have dedicated supports, and that's a problem. Herta does not have a dedicated support like the other ones. Again, Dot literally has dedicated character. Hyacinth has dedicated characters to her. I guess it's more the opposite. Kafka got dedicated supports because Kafka was the first one here. Gastrus got dedicated supports. Basing the entire Remembers team. Again, everyone has their dedicated support or are getting one soon. We need this for Herta, bro. Stefan or Skrullum, bro. Skrullum, our savior. I want to talk about my thoughts, right? My thoughts don't matter really. I'm gonna be honest. Again, I'm not a small YouTuber. I don't think anyone would give a fuck about what I have to say at this point, honestly. But either way, I'm just gonna put out. I want to put out my opinion, Loki. I've always thought about making videos like this, so I'm gonna put out my opinion here. What do I think of? What I think about what the whole situation is. If you ask me honestly, I really do think that I'm hoping at least that they are planning for something. Anaxa needs to be replaced. He definitely needs to be replaced, dude. Because he is a very good. Don't get me wrong. He does his job very well. But that's also because he doesn't have any competitors in the game right now. He doesn't have anyone to just make you think, oh wait, look, this character is better. Serval is literally ass for it's basically like a ripoff. Mini Herta, Herta puppet is literally also a fucking nothing burger compared to Nexa. So again, Jade was second best at the time, but that is also because Nexa wasn't out yet. So again, no character comes to there's no character that can basically be compared to him. So, which is why I really am just kind of saying this of you can't make you can make the argument, of course, that he is a very good support, because he is. Don't get me wrong, but again, you can't, because there's no one else to compare him to right now. Yeah, he is definitely the best support. But yeah, that's just what I wanted to say about it. Next one, right? Moving on is Screwlum. I think everyone has talked about Screwlum now so many times, right? I think like everyone has. I think we've all heard the opinion that Screwlum is gonna be a good support for her. Definitely, I'm hoping, because again, they seem to not be like they because again, Herta needs a support that can what's the word called here, that can basically do the job that's needed. She needs a dedicated support, just like how, for example, let me think here. Just like how Cyrene, right? Cyrene, for example. Cyrene is a very good support outside of Remembrance, but she works best in Remembrance. So we need a character that, not, of course, not to the same level of Cyrene here, right? I don't think that Cyrene needs, like, we need a Cyrene 2.0. But I do think Dahlia, as a good example, we need a Dahlia as very good dedicated support for Break. She's I'm pretty sure one of the she is literally one of the reasons why Break came back up recently. Of course, don't get me wrong, she did get her Nova Flare, Firefly. But again, point is, who the fuck made Break get good again? Literally Dahlia. So again, we need a character that's like Dahlia for this, for Herta, that can bring her up. And I do hope Screwlum is the one to do that job. Because if he isn't the one that to do that job, I really do think it's over for Herta. Like, I just don't know what they can what can happen, because again, Herta can't do any, like, again, if she won't get a support that will benefit her, then what is there for her, right? Like, she doesn't have anything she can do besides like any more than that. Like, you can't really say, oh yeah, she's good, guys, don't worry about it, close your eyes, don't think about it, because if there's no support to help her, there is something that you can't close your eyes and ignore it, because again, she is just asked. She will be asked if she doesn't get her dedicated support, which is why I'm hoping Screwlum is that support that will step up and be the dedicated unit for her. Be the dedicated unit that Dahlia is for Break, and him becoming that Dahlia of this team of, I guess you want, if you want to call it the genius, right? So again, I do hope that. One thing I will say is definitely that, yeah, again, before I go off to my next point, I just want to say, I really just hope that Screwlum is the one to save her. It makes so much sense. If they don't, at least, or maybe Stefan, or if they release him, of course, right? Otherwise, it's really over, right? We're gonna have to, she's gonna have to settle her plate down, and hopefully, maybe she'll make a comeback one way or another. But yeah, because again, Herta is a very important character, not just to the story, but just in general to everything else that is just like she is just a very important character in the story, for example. Of course, I'm not trying to make, oh, look, story very important and that means character needs to be good. No. Don't get me wrong. Of course, there's so many other characters that are very important to the story and they're ass. But I just mean it more in like the sense of, like, come on. You released a very cool and important character so early in the story. Just for them to be fucked like this, it hurts to see, at least to me. But yeah, moving on to my last point that I'll make of today. Nova Flare. We've seen every characters can get Nova Flare, right? Even the meta characters. Lily Firefly, that was back in meta, got one. And of course, the reason why Firefly was back in meta mostly was because that characters and game modes began getting fire weakness. But again, Dahlia was the one that brought her up in the first place before the whole thing. Back to the point though. I do think that it's that we definitely need a Nova Flare. We do definitely need a Nova Flare for Herta. At least if they don't give her a dedicated support, of course, maybe even both. You never know what the fuck they think, because again, we can see that they will give a buff to a character that's already buff, that already has a good dedicated support. But yeah, that's beside the point, right? The point I'm trying to make is though, I think I'm gonna give my opinion on what should the Nova Flare be before we end this video. Just a little short talk. I'm gonna start with the simple one. Instead of going like off crazy, right? I think some people might call me crazy for my ideas, but that's not what matters, right? One of the things I definitely think needs to be done is, in my opinion, is I'm gonna start with the simple one. I think everyone could agree on. She definitely needs that that erudition limitation removed. Of course, they don't have to remove it. They could change it to geniuses, maybe, right? Like, or not just like genius society, because again, for example, Anaxa isn't a part of the genius society. That will fuck her up even more. I just think some maybe change it to a new limitation of smart characters, for example, right? Geniuses, right? People that are smart like Anaxa it should be the new buff. Of course, it still is a limitation. Or maybe, again, because I definitely know they won't remove it, right? One of my ideas is they should remove it. They should definitely remove it, because again, a lot of supports outside of this erudition is the best supports that she can use. There's so many supports she can use, but thanks to the whole erudition thing, it fucks her over. I really definitely think it needs to be removed. I think it needs to be removed, because if they won't release a dedicated support, then you can't make you can't make something that limits a character potential and not make it good. Of course, they have done it with Akron. They made the whole Nihili thing B2 first if you're free to play, but then if you get her E2, it becomes 1, or is it? I don't remember if it was E1 or 2. It was 2, yeah. Then it becomes 1 character. Of course, that's not a problem, of course, because again, you could use a support, but the problem with it is that there's no good support, right? That's what the problem was with for Akron for a while, right? She doesn't have a good support. Of course, also a lot of the things were neglected, but again, a lot of the Nihili supports that are being released weren't doing that job well. Cypher did the job pretty well, of course, but again, it really was it felt more like a follow-up attack focused support, right? Because again, that's what she was used in. She was used with Fei Xiao as a replacement for, who was it for? Topaz. Again, it really just felt like a replacement for Topaz. So again, and with recently with Welt being buffed, of course, as well, it's doing a very good thing for Akron. She's now, if you look at the meta at the time, right now at least, she is very good. I really am surprised. My mind went whoa when I saw her back up. Of course, she isn't the best. She's probably gonna fall off, couple updates again. But again, it's sad, of course, that she will fall off again. But hey, at least she's right now back in her glory, at least to some level. But again, that's not what matters here. What matters is they definitely need to do some reworking on that erudition limitation. They won't remove it. I definitely know that. I really do think it should be changed to something else. If at least, again, if they don't want to remove it, they should change it to something else. I don't know what it should be, because again, if they make it genius people buff her, it won't make a big difference. Because again, if you look at it, it's really weird, because hey, okay, you just changed it to from erudition to smart. That doesn't make a difference, because again, there's no characters right now that are smart, that very smart, that could be put into this, especially supports, right? There's no smart support that could make this useful. Maybe Ranmei, but again, Ranmei ain't the best support right now either. So there is literally no support that can do this. I don't know if maybe I don't know if they again, I'm throwing a wild card here before I go back on track. I don't know if fucking I don't know if they had made it like maybe changed it to erudition and remembrance would make sense. I mean, hey, look, she did save Euphorius. She was like such a big character in Euphorius. It kind of makes sense for her to to work into like the whole Euphorius thing. Like, hey, either you have to have a character that's erudition or remembrance. No, but okay, you know, not to make bullshit, of course. Here, I do think it needs to be reworked. But it would be funny to see that happen actually, to add erudition, remembrance into the mix. Because again, also Rob and SP apparently will be a remembrance support. Again, I don't know if that's a true leak or not. It's just a leak that came out I saw. But yeah, let's go back on track to the last one. I think a problem, personally, right? When I played Herta with Remembrance MC, for example, one thing I noticed is she does very well when it comes to being buffed by Remembrance MC. Of course, Triby is the better support. Let's admit that. But it felt like I lost something. I don't know why. I just felt like the true damage did a big number in the team, even if it wasn't meant to. It did. It's a very good support for her. So I do really think that they need to add true damage to her enhanced skill. She should be able to do a true damage, or not at least like not fully true damage only, of course. Just kind of like Triby, for example. Triby's E1, right? Triby's E1 basically combines, I think if I remember it correctly, combines all the attacks and makes it into true damage or something like that, along those lines, right? I would love that to be a part of her enhanced skill, because again, her enhanced skill feels ass, in my opinion. It's just ass, right? Because again, oh, hey, look, she enhanced her skill. She does an extra attack. Yeah, an extra attack that like basically sure does a lot of damage, but so what if it does a lot of damage without being able to be good, like without a good support? Like, yeah, Triby is a good support for her and it buffs it really well, but again, you're basically saying, hey, look, this character can do so much damage even though it doesn't have a support that could make it actually better. Like, a character needs to be better. Sure, a character can be good damage dealing, but if they don't have a good support to make it even better, that's just like saying fuck you. But yeah, in my opinion, again, it should have a true damage. Her enhanced, like again, her enhanced skill needs something to make it special, because right now it just feels like, hey, extra follow up, hey, extra follow up. Otherwise, I really do think that it should get like something special to it. I really hope that they do give it something special to it. The skill, if she gets an overflare. Yeah, that's about it. Sorry for the yap. Enjoy your guys' day. I hope you enjoyed the 3.4, 4.3 update. Have a great day, guys.